David Lammy, the UK's Foreign Secretary, is now dismissing his infamous criticisms of Donald Trump as old news. Yes, you heard that right. The very man who once condemned Trump as a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath is now claiming he can find common ground with the president-elect. But the real shocker? Lammy is downplaying these comments as a minor footnote, setting off a storm in Westminster as both critics and supporters scramble to process this about-face. Stay tuned, because what we're uncovering is a scandal with ripple effects across UK politics.
Let's put one more quote to you from Time magazine in 2018, and you said, "Trump is not only a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath, he is also a profound threat to the international order that has been the foundation of Western progress for so long." And I put it to you, you are now the UK's chief diplomat. This back catalogue of quotes matters, doesn't it? Because if he decides at some point in the future to weaponise these, to throw them back at you and therefore to the UK, that's to our detriment, isn't it?
He didn't seem to think it mattered a few weeks ago.
But he might change his mind.
I don't know. Come on. I think that the truth is, when you're doing this job, you understand the extent and breadth of the US-UK relationship. There are 11,000 troops, US troops in this country. There are tens of thousands of US troops across Europe. We have the closest of intelligence capabilities, the best in the world, on demonstration before the Ukraine war, and working effectively to keep the skies safe over Israel just a few weeks ago. So anyone who heads up America, or indeed our country, understands that. He understands that because he's done the job of being president before. And in the end, he's finding common ground, just as I'm finding common ground. You don't get to be a senior politician in our country unless you can find common ground. And I might just say to you, with David Cameron as a leading Tory, he asked me to do his review. With Theresa May, even with Liz Truss as my opponent, you know, Chris, that I'm well known in Westminster. I get along with folk. I just do. It doesn't mean you don't have sharp battles.
You might want to get along with him, but maybe he doesn't want to get along with you.
You get along with folk, even people who have different politics to you.
But it doesn't stop there. The echoes of Trump's victory have sent shockwaves through the UK's political establishment, with none other than Nigel Farage taking full advantage of the new dynamic. Fresh off a victory bash at Trump's Mar-a-Lago, Farage is openly declaring that Trump's political success gives him a new shot at Britain's top office in 2029. Yes, Farage is suggesting his friendship with Trump could propel him all the way to number 10. In a candid segment with Theo Usherwood on GB News, the former LBC political editor laid out the scenario. Farage has the connections, the narrative, and now a powerful ally on the world stage. If the Trump administration makes strides on border control and tax reform, Farage will have a clear campaign strategy for the 2029 UK election. Usherwood argued that Farage could use Trump's policies as a contrast to what he calls the tax-happy approach of Labour. With Farage ready to campaign as the British Trump, Usherwood concluded, "It's very plausible to see Nigel Farage going head-to-head with Keir Starmer, and he's counting on Trump's influence to pave the way." Meanwhile, Lammy's attempt to smooth things over with Trump isn't going down well within his own ranks. His old news comment was met with incredulity, particularly by Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch, who quickly called on him to apologise. Badenoch didn't just stop there. She's demanding that Trump be formally invited to Parliament to solidify this new relationship that Labour seems so keen to foster. Her jab, if they're going to bow to Trump now, they should at least do it properly. She called on Labour to stop backtracking on their principles just because Trump is back in the spotlight. But David Lammy is not backing down. He claimed in his interview that his past criticisms were a product of his position as a backbencher, and that as Foreign Secretary, he now has a duty to bridge divides. In a peculiar twist, Lammy described his recent meeting with Trump at Trump Tower as gracious, and even shared that the former president offered him a second helping of chicken during dinner. Yes, Lammy's attempt to paint Trump as a warm host is in stark contrast to his old statements, and critics are calling him out for it. Tory MPs wasted no time, with Lee Anderson launching a scathing rant on GB News. The lefties are whinging about Trump, but here we have Lammy kissing up to him. These idiots need to eat humble pie and face reality. And it's not just the Tories hammering Lammy. Labour insiders are reportedly seething over the spectacle. Health Secretary Wes Streeting, who once labelled Trump as an odious, sad little man, was notably absent from the debate, but whispers within Labour circles suggest he's furious about Lammy's new diplomatic approach. A source close to Streeting reportedly confided, "Wes thinks this is the kind of hypocrisy that will cost us at the polls. One day Trump is a threat, the next he's our best friend. It's laughable." Farage, meanwhile, is positioning himself as the UK's direct link to Trump's incoming administration, claiming that the UK's post-Brexit autonomy makes it uniquely placed for direct negotiations with Trump's team. "If Keir Starmer's government won't step up to the plate, I will," Farage declared. He's volunteered to bridge the gap between Westminster and Mar-a-Lago, casting himself as a more flexible, business-minded leader who won't hesitate to stand beside Trump. It's a bold statement, but it's stirring up controversy. Pat McFadden, Cabinet Office Minister, retorted, "Doesn't Farage already have a job to do for Clacton? Maybe he should focus on the people who elected him instead of jetting off to Florida for the next Trump party." But that criticism only fuels Farage's fire. He's unfazed, going as far as to say he'd relish the chance to represent the UK at Trump's inauguration, if Labour won't. Farage insisted, "This is the dawn of a new era for US-UK relations, and if David Lammy can't handle it, then I'm ready to step in." All the while, Lammy's past words continue to haunt him. Back in 2018, Lammy penned a scathing piece for Time magazine, calling Trump a profound threat to the international order. Now, with those remarks resurfacing, Lammy's own supporters are questioning his commitment to Labour's principles. Lammy insists his new approach is purely diplomatic necessity, even claiming he's making deliberate efforts to find common ground with Republicans, including Trump's Vice President J.D. Vance. Lammy emphasized their shared experiences of family struggles and poverty, saying he believes they can find empathy on those fronts. But for some, that's too little, too late. Tory allies of Badenoch are already hinting at parliamentary debates on whether Trump should receive an official invitation, calling Labour's backtrack astonishing hypocrisy. And if Trump does visit Parliament, the question remains, will David Lammy, once one of Trump's fiercest critics, be there to shake his hand? This whole affair has opened Pandora's box for UK politics. With Farage ready to launch his bid for Prime Minister and Lammy's U-turn leaving Labour red-faced, it's clear that Trump's victory in the US has revived political dreams and controversies alike on British soil. The stakes couldn't be higher, and neither side is backing down. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button if you want the latest on this brewing UK-US political storm. With every twist and turn, we're here to break down the scandal as it unfolds.